After the events of the Moro saga, Goku and Vegeta had spent hours trading blows that shook the sky. Every clash of fists produced pressure waves that split clouds apart, and the ground cracked beneath their feet as their bluish auras vibrated with growing intensity.
"Don't hold back, Kakarot! If this is all you've got, then Whis' training was useless!"
Vegeta said as he lunged forward, firing off a burst of energy. "Relax, Vegeta, I'm just warming up." Goku replied with a wide grin as he vanished instantly and reappeared behind him. Vegeta spun quickly and blocked the strike, countering with an upward kick that sent Goku several meters back. However, Goku reacted fast and stopped himself before crashing into the rocks, smiling with excitement when he realized they were getting serious. "I'll admit that surprised me. How about we raise the stakes?" Goku said as he powered up, making the air grow heavier.
"That's exactly what I had in mind!"
After that, both of them unleashed their powers, making the ground around them tremble completely. But just as they were about to charge back into combat, something else happened. A few meters away, the air began to tear open, and a green portal formed in the emptiness, shaped like a spiral of energy. It left Goku and Vegeta confused because they had no idea what could have caused that breach to appear. "Do you think it's an invitation, Vegeta?"
"Don't be an idiot! It could be a trap!"
"Maybe. But if someone can do this, they might be strong, don't you think?"
"Always rushing in without thinking. If you're going, I'm going too. I'm not letting you have all the fun."
They looked at each other, a faint competitive smile crossing their faces, and stepped through the portal at the same time. What they didn't know was that it had all been the work of someone from another world, Angstrom Levy. He was using his powers along with a series of interdimensional devices, all to search for reinforcements for his plan against Invincible. However, this time he had made a mistake, because in his search he ended up opening the portal at an unintended point, the very one that appeared in front of Goku and Vegeta.
"No, no, no! That wasn't the right universe!"
Angstrom exclaimed as he realized the Saiyans had crossed through the portal, which led them straight into his base. Once they stepped through, the portal closed behind them, leaving them face to face with Angstrom Levy. Goku looked around with curiosity, taking in the screens and circular structures, surprised by everything he was seeing.
"Damn, who are these guys? I can feel an incredible force radiating from them. I can't afford to get careless. I need to get them out of here."
Goku tilted his head slightly toward Angstrom. "Were you the one who opened that portal?"
"Well..."
When Angstrom didn't answer, Vegeta stepped forward hard enough to make the ground tremble.
"Answer carefully! We're not in the mood for games!"
Angstrom felt the pressure immediately. It wasn't like the variants of Mark he had fought before. This was denser, purer. His instincts screamed at him not to provoke them. Angstrom swallowed, but forced a smile as he adjusted one of the devices on his wrist.
"Of course it was me, but it was just a small miscalculation. Nothing more."
Vegeta crossed his arms, his eyes tracking every movement Angstrom made.
"Don't play with us. Tell me right now what you were trying to do."
Angstrom felt cold sweat run down his back. The pressure coming off the two of them wasn't just brute strength. It felt like they could erase his existence at any moment.
"Easy, easy. I'm not your enemy. I'm a scientist, a dimensional traveler. I study alternate realities, heroes, cosmic threats. You two just showed up during my search."
Goku smiled slightly. "Alternate realities? Sounds interesting. So, are you strong?"
"Kakarot, don't be an idiot. This isn't the time."
Angstrom let out a nervous laugh.
"Strong wouldn't be the right word.
I'm more strategic. I gather resources, allies, knowledge. You see, in this world there's something called Invincible, a hero, though his existence is problematic." "Invincible? I like that name. Is he strong?"
"Strong enough to cause havoc. I'm simply trying to keep the balance."
"Then explain why your pulse spikes when you say his name," Vegeta said, noticing how Angstrom looked slightly irritated when that name came up. "Don't you think you're being a little harsh?"
"You're the one being too soft, Kakarot. We don't know him."
While Goku and Vegeta had a small argument, Angstrom decided to act, using his powers to throw a portal at them, sending them out of the base and closing it instantly. Just like that, Goku and Vegeta were transported into the city of Invincible's world, appearing high in the sky. Vegeta was annoyed at being caught off guard, but Angstrom's move made one thing clear. He wasn't strong enough to deal with them directly, so he resorted to that tactic.
His attack didn't do anything to us, but it looks like he sent us far away so we wouldn't know his intentions.
I honestly thought he was going to attack us, so I let him use his powers. I wanted to see how strong he was. I didn't expect he'd send us here.
Either way, we'll have to find him later. Something about this place feels off.
You're right. This city looks different. They descended slowly onto the top of one of the buildings, trying to understand where they were. Vegeta crossed his arms, scanned the buildings, vehicles, and the slightly different technology. This definitely isn't the Earth we know.
You're right. I don't recognize this architecture. I can't sense the others either.
Goku closed his eyes, focusing. And the people's ki here is different. Weaker overall, but there's something else.
What do you mean?
Among all these people, there are some with higher levels than normal.
True. It's nothing special, but it's clear they're the strongest ones here.
Down on the streets, nobody seemed to notice anything strange. Cars moved along, a police siren wailed in the distance, and a helicopter cut across the sky. I don't see a way back. We might have to find that guy so we can get home.
Yeah, but beyond that, I want to know why he was opening portals. It's obvious what he told us earlier wasn't true.
Who knows? But from the way he reacted, I'm sure he didn't expect us to show up.
Best thing to do is investigate, but be careful. We don't want to scare him off if we find him.
Goku nodded with his usual calm expression. Good idea. Let's do it. They jumped from the rooftop and flew through the city, looking for any clue that could lead them to Angstrom and force answers out of him. While they inspected the area, Angstrom remained at his base, still shaken by what had happened. He knew he had made a serious mistake, and that his plans could fail because of it.
Damn it. I didn't plan for this. I have to move fast before those two do something to me. Nothing is going to stop me from completing my revenge against Mark.
Once Angstrom decided his next move, he opened more portals around him. From them emerged the evil variants of Invincible he had been recruiting. The ones that stood out most were Mohawk, Sinister Mark, Omni Mark, and the Masked Mark. There's still not enough, so we're going to speed things up with the other variants. Get ready for the attack.
Yeah, whatever. I just want to crush everything in my path already.
Do what you have to do, just don't make us wait too long. The wait will be worth it. You'll see. After that, Angstrom got to work and went after more of Mark's variants, determined to cause as much damage as possible and finish him off. And even more importantly, to make sure those two strangers didn't ruin his plans. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta kept flying through the city, but they hadn't seen anything out of the ordinary, until suddenly they spotted a huge flash on one of the streets. It was Powerplex, someone with technology that let him use kinetic energy to his advantage. He used it to draw Invincible's attention, blaming him for all the deaths caused by his father. His hatred was so intense that he used his own family as bait to make sure the hero showed up. Invincible was fighting him to stop him because he was putting everyone in danger, especially his own family who was nearby. Goku and Vegeta moved closer through the air, watching from as close as they could without being seen.
Nobody here understands the danger you are. That's why I'm gonna make you pay for what you did.
I know a lot of people suffered because of me, but this won't change anything. Stop! As their fight stayed fairly even, Goku and Vegeta realized Invincible's power level was quite high compared to most others, while Powerplex didn't have particularly high energy because he relied mostly on his kinetic technology, which was his greatest advantage. Do you think we should do something?
Maybe, but we don't know the situation, so let's watch a little longer.
I hope you're right, Goku said, hesitating slightly as the fight grew more intense. Because Invincible and Powerplex were causing serious damage to a building, right where Powerplex's family was. It didn't take long for Invincible to gain the upper hand. He finally managed to hold Powerplex down and immobilize him, but in a burst of rage, Powerplex decided to unleash a massive kinetic energy charge, even though it could hit his wife and child who were only meters away. It looked like certain death for them, but in that instant Goku teleported, pulling the woman and child out of the building before the blast could reach them. At the same time, Vegeta appeared behind Powerplex and landed a simple strike that knocked him out cold. Powerplex dropped to the ground without even understanding what had hit him. Invincible stood up, breathing hard, shocked by the intervention, because without them, that family would have died. Those powers are useless if you use them with no control, Vegeta said as he looked down at Powerplex's unconscious body. Once the area was safe, Goku landed beside Vegeta and set the woman and child down on the ground. But instead of looking grateful, the woman seemed irritated. She shared the same contempt her husband had for Invincible, though she didn't want to cause a scene. Looks like everything's under control. Thanks for your help. Who are you? I've never seen you before. It's complicated, but my name is Goku, and the one next to me is Vegeta. I'm not trying to judge, but why are you dressed like that? Vegeta asked, looking at Invincible's blue suit. Well, because I'm a hero. Or at least I try to be. The suit protects my identity and lets people know I'm here to help. Goku tilted his head with genuine curiosity. A hero? Like someone who saves people and fights the bad guys? Invincible nodded. Exactly. My hero name is Invincible. That's what most people know me as. Vegeta narrowed his eyes the moment he heard the name. Invincible. Hey, Vegeta, didn't that portal guy mention someone named Invincible? Vegeta crossed his arms. Yeah, he said you were problematic, that he was keeping the balance or something like that. He was obviously lying, but you might be able to give us some answers. Invincible looked at them confused because he didn't understand what they were talking about. Wait, who mentioned my name? What are you talking about? Goku exchanged a glance with Vegeta before answering. Before we got here, we went through a green portal. It took us to a base full of screens and strange tech. There was a guy there. He said he studied alternate realities, and that you were problematic. He didn't give his name, and he didn't seem like the type to tell the truth easily. Invincible's brow furrowed instantly, stunned by that description. Wait, did you say a green portal? Devices on his arms? And a big head? Yeah, exactly. Invincible clenched his fist as he realized who it was, fearing the worst, because that meant Angstrom was still alive. Invincible clenched his fist as he realized who it was, fearing the worst, because that meant Angstrom was still alive. Then it's him again. That guy's been causing problems for a long time. How is he still alive? He looked visibly shaken by the news, which caught Goku and Vegeta's attention. You know him? Too well. But now isn't the time to explain everything. First, I need to get him into custody before he wakes up and puts everyone in danger again. Goku looked at the man on the ground, noticing how out of control he'd been. You're right. He was really unstable. He lost a family member because of my dad. He thinks it was all my fault and his hate pushed him too far. Invincible sighed, then looked back at them seriously. Listen, if that guy brought you here, then this is bigger than it looks. But I can't leave Powerplex lying in the street. Come with me to the Pentagon base. We can talk more calmly there. The Pentagon? It's where the government operates. The people who oversee heroes? The director's name is Cecil. He'll want to meet you, especially if you help stop this. I don't know if we should get involved with this world's government. Maybe not, but if you want to get home and understand what's happening, you need information, and Cecil has a lot of it. Sounds reasonable, and I want to learn more about being a hero in this world. Invincible hoisted Powerplex's unconscious body over his shoulder. You can fly, right? Obviously. Don't worry about it. Good. Follow me. Invincible rose into the air and flew quickly toward the outskirts of the city. Goku and Vegeta followed without any trouble, drawing the attention of a few civilians who could barely make out three figures in the sky. As they flew, Goku moved alongside Invincible. So, how long have you been a hero? A little over a year. My dad was one too. Well, it's complicated. I'm guessing it has something to do with the fact that the guy you're carrying hates you, right? I guess so, but I'm trying to do the right thing. Protect people even when it doesn't always go well. Goku watched him with a calm smile. That sounds good to me. We fight to protect our world too, just without suits. Invincible glanced at their battle clothes. Yeah, I noticed. You two are different. After flying for a while, they could see a structure in the distance. Apparently normal, sitting in an open area, a discreet building surrounded by military security. Invincible descended at the entrance. Several soldiers instinctively aimed their weapons when they saw Goku and Vegeta, but lowered them slightly once they recognized Invincible. "Invincible, what happened?" "Another incident. It's under control, but I need to see Cecil." The doors opened after a quick scan. The group walked through brightly lit corridors packed with advanced technology, screens showing live feeds from different parts of the world. Goku looked around with fascination. "Wow, this place is impressive." "Looks like they take security seriously here." "We coordinate responses to global threats. Not every hero works alone." As they walked, a voice echoed through the speakers. "Invincible, I see you brought some interesting company." "Yeah, and I think you want to meet them." Goku glanced at Vegeta. "Looks like this Cecil already knows we're here." Vegeta gave a faint smile. "Then he'd better listen carefully, because if that portal guy is planning something, he'll be dealing with us." At that moment, the metal doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. At the end of the hallway stood a man in a dark suit, with a calculating gaze and a scar cutting across his face, a constant reminder that he lived in a dangerous world. Cecil looked Goku and Vegeta up and down without losing his composure. "Interesting. 2 unidentified individuals capable of flight. But I'll admit, I like it when strangers start out by helping." Goku raised his hand naturally. "Hi, I'm Goku. He's Vegeta. We came from another world. Literally." Vegeta looked annoyed at Goku for blurting that out so casually, since it was reckless. "Don't just say it like that, Kakarot. They'll think we're lunatics." Sorry." Cecil barely looked surprised at the revelation, since he was in some way familiar with things like that. "Another world. Right. That explains why we've never seen you before." Invincible handed Powerplex's unconscious body over to the staff and stepped forward. "Cecil, they helped me. If it weren't for Goku, Powerplex's family would be dead." "I see. Then let's start from the beginning. Who brought you here?" "We were training, and then a green portal appeared. We went through it and ended up in a base full of screens. A guy with devices on his arms said he studied alternate realities." "That's right. We questioned him a bit, but he only fed us lies. When we pressured him, he threw us into this city with another portal." Invincible clenched his fists, remembering the one responsible for all of this. He spoke up to explain who it was. "The person you're describing is Angstrom Levy. I'm sure of it." Goku and Vegeta exchanged a silent look. "What do you know about him?" "He's a dimensional traveler. Because of that, he's seen countless versions of me, and since in many of them I'm a monster, he blames my existence for the destruction of entire worlds. He developed a personal grudge against me." "But we're not from here. Why open a portal to our world?" "Because someone who stockpiles multiversal knowledge eventually looks for new variables, new power. And you two are clearly that." "He didn't seem strong enough to face us directly." "Then he's planning something bigger than we think." Invincible nodded. "He's done it before. He allied himself with the Mauler brothers and their variants to reach his goal." Cecil went quiet for a few seconds, processing what they knew. If Angstrom is recruiting variants again, and now he's also accidentally brought in 2 individuals with energy levels beyond anything we've ever recorded, then this situation is escalating. Goku gave a small smile. "So it wasn't random. He's definitely planning an attack." "Most likely a large-scale attack, just to get revenge and hurt Invincible." "Angstrom won't stop for anything. He'll put entire cities at risk just to satisfy his need for revenge." Cecil looked at both Saiyans with more open interest. "I like that I don't have to explain what a strategic threat looks like." "I used to handle that kind of thing in the past, but that's another story." "We want to get back home, but we're not going to let someone destroy a world while we're looking for the way back." "Good. Since this is complicated, I'll be direct. Goku, Vegeta, I don't know you, but the fact that you stepped in without seeking recognition tells me I can work with you. If Angstrom is preparing a multiversal offensive, we need enough power to stop it. You want to return to your world, I want to stop him before he destroys mine. So I think we can make a deal. I'm asking you to join this operation. Help us stop Angstrom, and I'll make sure you find your way back." Cecil has tech that can track strange energy signatures. If Angstrom opens more portals, we can detect it. It's worth trying.
Sounds like the best option.
And it sounds interesting. Seeing they were convinced, Invincible extended his hand toward them. I can't promise it'll be easy, but if Angstrom really is gathering variants, I'd like you two on our side. Goku didn't hesitate and shook Invincible's hand, making it clear they were with him. Of course we'll work with you. We can't just let him get away with it without doing anything.
Same here. If that guy thinks he can manipulate us like pieces on his board, he's wrong.
Good. Since you've agreed, then we do it right. Mark, take him to the others. I want the new Guardians of the Globe to see them with their own eyes. Understand what they can do, how they move, how they react, and you two are going to need to see how we operate here. Invincible nodded, though it clearly weighed on him to expose them so quickly in front of everyone, especially since he wasn't sure how people would react to two unknown flyers showing up out of nowhere. Still, he didn't argue. Understood. Come with me. The Guardians are training somewhere secure. Cecil wants to evaluate everyone and see how you fit in. Sounds good. I like meeting other heroes. Maybe they're strong too.
Don't start with that. First, let's figure out how this place works. Then we'll see if anyone here is actually worth it.
As they walked through the facility, Invincible guided them down the corridors. The soldiers nearby kept glancing at Goku and Vegeta, because even with their auras restrained, the presence of both Saiyans felt overwhelming, like something this place wasn't used to controlling. Tell me something. Have you ever seen anything like those dimensional portals in your world? Something like that, yeah. For us, it's normal to travel between planets. Between dimensions, not so much. But we've seen weird things. Gods, angels, magic, monsters, and portals too, just not like his. Vegeta glanced to the side, wearing his usual prideful expression.
And where we're from, we don't need that much technology to fight like Angstrom does. We use our ki.
What is ki? Is it energy? Goku nodded, pointing at his chest with his thumb. Exactly. It's energy that all living beings have. When you learn to control it, you can use it to strengthen your body or fire attacks. And if you're good, you can even sense movement flow. Invincible's eyes widened a little at that explanation. So that's how you found me so quickly in the city. You were searching with that energy.
Exactly. And that's also how we knew you were one of the strongest here. Your energy stands out, even if you can't control it like we can.
Invincible felt slightly reassured hearing that he was considered strong, since he trained every day to be a better hero. Can everyone here fly like you? Not everyone can. People have different powers, and it works differently for each person. We even have an alien on the team who can stretch a lot.
Other races here? What a surprise.
Yeah. In your world, no? Actually, yes. Even if we don't look like it, we aren't humans. We're Saiyans. We get stronger by fighting, and we love combat. Seriously? You look human to me. I wouldn't have known you were another race if you hadn't told me.
We were a warrior race that got wiped out. Kakarot and I are among the few left. Our planet was destroyed, our people were erased, and what remained of us scattered.
Invincible looked at him with a strange mix of respect and shock. He hadn't expected their race to have such a tragic fate. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Don't worry. I'm just telling you what happened. And if we're going to fight in your world, you need to understand we aren't human.
We've been through countless things, but we kept moving forward. We found reasons to fight beyond just getting stronger. Our friends and family. Invincible stayed quiet for a couple of seconds. Hearing their story made him wonder if he should do the same and reveal what he really was. Something he still struggled to accept. But since his situation was so similar, maybe they would understand him. I see. I guess you know what it feels like. I'm not what I seem either. I'm not a normal human. Goku tilted his head at that, not expecting the confession. Really? Then what are you? Invincible sighed, thinking about everything tied to his race. But with Goku and Vegeta in front of him, he felt he could say it without being judged, especially because of what happened with his father. As Invincible prepared to reveal his true nature, Angstrom already had everything ready for the attack. He began opening several portals in the sky, and from them emerged many variants of Mark, ready to destroy everything in their path. After Goku and Vegeta arrived in the world of Invincible, both were recruited by Cecil to stop Angstrom's threat. However, they had no idea he had already opened several portals in the sky from which the evil variants of Mark emerged. Meanwhile, Invincible kept leading Goku and Vegeta toward the Guardians, deciding to tell them about his true nature as they walked. You see, the truth is, I'm not completely human. I'm half Viltrumite. It's a race that's similar to yours in some ways. They're all strong but extremely aggressive. My father came to this planet as a hero, but in reality, he was a conqueror. His empire wants to take civilizations until they are completely subdued. I was born to be a part of that. That's why I've had to fight between what I'm supposed to be and what I want to be. Vegeta looked him up and down again, but now with a different focus. Not a military evaluation, but the gaze of someone who recognizes a similar shadow. I see. A conquering race. That really sounds a lot like what the Saiyans used to do in the past. So, you're fighting against what people expect from you. That's tough, but it says a lot about your determination. Not everyone chooses to make a difference. Invincible showed some relief after hearing those words, but he still felt guilt over everything that happened with his father. Thanks, but sometimes I feel like even when I do the right thing, people only see my dad when they look at me. Just like Angstrom. He's seen versions of me that destroy worlds, and he hates me because of that. Being judged by some stranger because of alternate versions of you is stupid. You're the only one actually trying to do something about it and deal with what your father did. That Angstrom talks about keeping balance, but he doesn't even realize he's become the real monster. Vegeta said it with a firm tone because he understood exactly what Invincible meant. He himself had carried the weight of his actions after letting his race's principles fuel his pride, slaughtering countless inhabitants of planet Namek without mercy, people he would later help save during his encounter with Moro. On the other hand, Goku nodded at Vegeta's words and gave Invincible a small friendly tap on the shoulder. Don't beat yourself up. At least you're doing something better than the rest of your race. You're being a hero. Invincible stared forward, thinking about what they said. Their words weren't empty comfort. They came from people who had truly been through something like his situation, and that made him feel understood. Thanks. Seriously. Let's put that aside for now. We're going to meet those Guardians so Cecil can do his evaluation. That way we finish this quickly and find the portal guy. Right, we're close. Once they finished walking through the corridors, Invincible led them onto a platform that worked like an elevator, which took them up into a huge training room with reinforced surfaces and cameras in the corners. In the center of the place were the Guardians of the Globe, the heroes who defended Earth from threats. Everyone turned when they saw Invincible had brought two unknown people. Some crossed their arms, wondering what they were doing there. Others simply watched with curiosity, since Goku and Vegeta looked quite unusual. Seeing them all gathered, Invincible raised his hand to get everyone's attention. Good to see you. I'm sure you're wondering who the two people next to me are, so I'll explain it quickly. Cecil asked me to bring them. They're Goku and Vegeta. They helped me during an incident in the city. They come from another world, and they're going to work with us to stop Angstrom, an interdimensional enemy. Everyone was shocked by Invincible's explanation, understanding why Goku and Vegeta looked so different compared to everyone else. But they were also worried when they heard there was an interdimensional enemy. Wait, what do you mean an interdimensional enemy? That's right, he's a guy who can open portals to different worlds, just like how we ended up here. And do we at least know where he is? No, but something tells me he's going to attack at any moment. That's why I brought them here. Now that the situation was clearer, one of the Guardians stepped forward to speak, using a firm tone in front of the others. Fine. If they're going to work with us, we want to know what they can do. That way we're aware of what they're capable of. Goku smiled with excitement at the idea, so he took the chance to stretch a bit. Great! Can't wait to see what kind of powers you guys have! Fine by me, but let's do it quickly. After saying that, Goku and Vegeta exchanged a brief look, and both stepped forward at the same time, instantly taking a fighting stance. The Guardians looked at each other and decided to get ready too, taking positions until they formed a combat formation. Invincible did the same, feeling a little nervous but excited to fight alongside them. Wow, I'm surprised that even though there are more of us, they don't even look nervous. If they're from another world, they must be strong. We can't underestimate them. This will only be a test. No one is to attack with the intention of seriously hurting anyone.
We're measuring capabilities, nothing more. Don't worry, we know how to control ourselves.
Yeah, let's just have a little fun.
Good, let's begin.
1 second after it started, the Guardians rushed in first. Rex fired an explosive blast toward where both of them were, trying to cover more ground with his explosions.
There they go!
The explosion lit up the room, but when the light and smoke cleared, they realized nobody was there anymore. Invincible froze in shock. He couldn't understand how they had vanished from his sight in an instant. Suddenly, Goku appeared right in front of Rex, stopping his next throw with one hand, preventing him from attacking again.
Good reflexes, but you gotta fire faster.
With a slight flick of his wrist, he pushed Rex back without violence, though the force was enough to make him slide several meters. At the same time, Vegeta appeared above them, so Immortal launched himself upward and collided with Vegeta in midair. Both fists slammed together, creating a shockwave that made the cameras tremble. But Vegeta accelerated and sent Immortal back down to the floor. The force of the impact left Immortal stunned. He'd been pushed back with incredible ease.
You really are strong.
That's unbelievable.
Don't tell me you're already tired.
I still have plenty left. Let's keep going. While they continued fighting, Adam Eve created a pink energy field, trying to trap Goku inside. The force field snapped shut, but Goku shattered it effortlessly and rushed toward her at high speed.
Whoa! You can create things with your powers? That's useful.
When her force field failed, Adam Eve started putting up multiple barriers to slow him down. But Goku destroyed each one with a single controlled strike, generating a gust so strong the barriers couldn't withstand it. Adam Eve was left speechless. Her defenses felt like paper in front of him. Seeing Eve struggling, Invincible joined the fight quickly, trying to land a hit on Goku, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. He lost him from sight every single time.
They're too fast! I can't follow them with my eyes!
Before Invincible could even blink, Goku appeared in front of him, grabbed his arm, and threw him into Adam Eve, knocking them both back. At the same time, Rex attacked again alongside Duplicate and Shrinking Ray. Duplicate began multiplying around Vegeta, trying to overwhelm him with numbers, while Shrinking Ray used her size-changing ability to attack from different angles. But before they could even touch him, Vegeta let out a small smile.
More numbers! You really think that works?
In an instant, Vegeta released a small burst of energy, generating an aura so intense it blasted all the clones away, including Shrinking Ray, without seriously injuring them. Duplicate stepped back in shock. The pressure in the air was so strong she couldn't advance no matter how hard she tried. Even Immortal, one of the strongest on the team, couldn't push forward while flying. And in an instant, Vegeta shot straight at Immortal, landing a kick that slammed him into the wall. Then he moved through Duplicate's clones, taking them down with a rapid flurry of strikes in a single blink. And finally, Vegeta simply pushed Shrinking Ray with one finger, careful not to harm her in her small form. After the entire team was brought down, Immortal immediately raised his hand to stop the fight.
Enough!
Hearing that, Goku and Vegeta lowered their guard almost at the same time, completely relaxed as if nothing had happened. Silence filled the room for a few seconds as everyone caught their breath. Rex looked at his trembling hands.
They really are at another level. I couldn't do anything.
No matter how many of us there were, they kept finding a way to break our guard. Their control is incredible. They could have seriously hurt us, and they didn't. I knew they were strong, but the gap between us was bigger than I thought. Immortal walked up until he stood in front of them. He held Vegeta's gaze first, then Goku's. There was no arrogance in his expression, only recognition.
I've been fighting for centuries, and let me tell you, you have strength and speed far beyond what we're used to. We truly appreciate your help.
Immortal extended his hand as a sign of respect. They were powerful warriors.
It will be an honor to have you on our side against Angstrom.
Goku shook his hand firmly with a wide smile, while Vegeta kept his usual expression.
We're ready to. Good. Now I actually think we have a chance.
Invincible looked at Goku and Vegeta with deep admiration, not just as allies, but as something more, as examples, as warriors who had carried shadows like his and still kept moving forward, refusing to let their race's nature define them. Invincible felt calmer. For the first time since Angstrom, he truly felt like they weren't alone. But then the lights in the room began to flicker and an alarm started blaring throughout the entire complex. Everyone looked up at the same time as Cecil appeared on the giant screens, his expression more serious than usual, showing this was a crisis. We have multiple global disturbances. Repeat, multiple conflict points simultaneously in over 20 major cities. And that's not all. Everything indicates the attackers look identical to Invincible, which can only mean one thing. Angstrom is attacking. You'd better move immediately. Military forces aren't enough. Invincible was furious at the situation, but especially at the destruction Angstrom was causing because of him. Cecil's right. We have to go as fast as possible, or there will be more victims! Before Cecil could continue explaining, a brutal crash shook the Pentagon base. A shockwave tore through the room, making everyone turn toward the main entrance, and they realized the reinforced wall had been shattered by two figures who slowly emerged through the dust. They were two variants of Invincible, known as Viltrum Mark and Prisoner Mark. One wore the Viltrumite uniform, while the other wore a completely shredded white suit, showing he had been experimented on. So this is where you are! I knew this was the headquarters of those so-called heroes. The Guardians reacted fast and took combat stances instantly, but Invincible stepped forward and positioned himself in front of his evil variants, looking at them with pure contempt. Stop right now! I won't let you do whatever you want! Goku and Vegeta stopped Mark before he did something reckless, stepping in front of him to face the evil variants. Both variants stared at Goku and Vegeta for a moment because they vaguely remembered what Angstrom had mentioned about intruders. Wait, Angstrom mentioned something about two guys who slipped in. Is it you? Possible. I've never seen them among the Guardians, not before I came part of the Empire. Fine, then we'll take them first. The rest should be easy. After saying that, the variants rushed straight at them with full force, ignoring the rest of the Guardians so they could focus on what they considered a new challenge. Viltrum Mark tried to land a punch in Vegeta's face, but his fist was instantly caught with one hand, leaving him completely stunned. What? That's it? The variant got furious at that comment and tried to force the blow, his muscles tensing. Vegeta only stared at him with contempt because the variant's attacks were basic. Pathetic. Vegeta tightened his grip on the variant's fist so he couldn't escape, then drove a punch into his face, slamming him into the ground with such force that the floor cracked apart. Meanwhile, the other variant tried to crush Goku with both arms, but Goku blocked it instantly. Prisoner Mark couldn't believe Goku could react to his attacks. No one had ever done that to him. When the first strike didn't work, he unleashed a barrage of attacks, but Goku blocked every one of them with precision and speed the variant couldn't even perceive. You've got good strength, but you're way too tense. You let your impulses control you, and you attack without control. That makes you predictable. Shut up! I don't need any of that to fight. My strength is more than enough. Even if I don't know Invincible that well, I can tell you're nothing like him. Don't compare us to that loser. He doesn't understand we're more than simple heroes. We can take whatever we want. I'd never have him in my empire. That says everything. After that, Goku vanished and appeared behind him, charging an energy attack directly at his back. In that instant, Prisoner Mark felt an overwhelming power, so much that for the first time, he froze. How? How can someone be this powerful? I'm sorry, but this is what you chose. In that instant, Goku released the energy from his hand into the variant, disintegrating him completely in front of everyone. Now that they had dealt with them, Goku looked toward Invincible and the rest of the Guardians. Looks like we're done here. You guys should split up and catch the rest of the variants. Are you sure? Don't worry. I'm sure you can stop them if you fight together, but we have to cover a lot of ground. Alright, Guardians, we have to move. Priority is protecting civilians and stopping Invincible's variants. After that, the Guardians prepared themselves and rushed out into the city to find the remaining Mark variants and stop them from causing more damage. However, Invincible hesitated for a second and decided to go somewhere else, so he could help more people while the Guardians handled the main city. I have to go, but I wish you luck. Thanks, Mark. I promise everything will turn out fine. Invincible flew off at full speed after saying goodbye, disappearing into the clouds. Meanwhile, the Saiyans were ready to prove Angstrom had gravely underestimated them by trying to stop them with those evil variants. We have to move too. Let's hurry. Alright, then I'll go on my own too. That'll be faster. Goku flew off, heading toward another city the heroes hadn't reached yet. Before Vegeta left, he approached the rubble where he had slammed Viltrum Mark, finding him barely alive. Before the variant collapsed from his injuries, Vegeta grabbed him by the uniform and questioned him about Angstrom. Listen closely, because I'm not repeating myself. Tell me where Angstrom is. Viltrum Mark spat blood to the side, then looked at him with contempt. What makes you think I'm gonna tell you anything? Vegeta tightened his grip on the fabric of the Viltrumite uniform, forcing him to answer. Answer my question. Viltrum Mark let out a rough laugh. I don't know. I only came to this place because I wanted to take this world for my empire. And even if I did know where he is, I wouldn't tell you. So have fun looking for him like a dog. Vegeta sighed in annoyance, realizing this was going nowhere. Then our conversation is over. Without another word, Vegeta drove one final blow into the Viltrumite's chest, finishing him completely and letting his lifeless body drop to the ground. I'll find you wherever you are, Angstrom. Vegeta rose into the air and vanished at high speed toward another city, searching for the remaining variants, because he knew they would somehow lead him to Angstrom. Elsewhere in the country, Goku was flying over a city that had been hit by the attack. Several vehicles were overturned and smoke rose from buildings. Goku descended slowly, scanning the destruction with a frown. This really got out of control. Suddenly, Goku turned his head when he sensed a particularly twisted energy, and on top of that, he heard a scream through the destruction. In the middle of a shattered avenue stood Sinister Mark, wearing a dark suit stained with blood, his expression cold and cruel as he held a civilian by the hair and dragged her across the ground, enjoying the terror in her face. Come on, scream louder! I want everyone to hear what happens when they oppose me! The woman tried to break free with the strength she had left, begging him for mercy. Annoyed by her struggling, Sinister Mark tightened his grip, ready to slam her into the pavement with enough force to crush her. But before he could, something grabbed his arm, stopping him completely. What? Sinister Mark's eyes widened when he saw someone holding his arm. No one should have been able to do that. The Viltrumite tried to move, but he couldn't. Goku's strength felt like an immovable object, and he wasn't even straining. Let her go! After saying that, Goku tightened his grip on Sinister Mark's arm, causing such intense pain that he twisted and released the woman. Goku caught her immediately so she wouldn't fall. Sinister Mark staggered back, clutching his arm, the pain too much to endure. Don't worry, you're safe now. Goku set the woman aside so she'd be out of danger while he dealt with Sinister Mark. You bastard! How dare you hurt my arm like that? From what you were about to do, it's obvious you're more twisted than your other variants. I have more ambition than those cheap copies. That's why I do this. So that's why you joined Angstrom? Sinister Mark nodded, almost proud. His voice lowered a bit, like he was confessing something intimate. Truth is, I don't like that guy. But Angstrom doesn't just open portals, he opens possibilities. He's seen worlds where I won. Worlds where I got tired of pretending and took everything I wanted. So when he told me about this world full of heroes who think they're special, I knew my power could spread across worlds. Not a conquest like the Viltrumites, but so I can enjoy myself however I want. You say the rest of your variants are inferior, but you only fight to make others feel small and feed your own twisted fun. You're worse than them. At least here, there's one who's trying to make a difference. Shut up! Don't analyze me like you're trying to lecture me. You don't know anything about me, and honestly, I'm done talking. Sinister Mark lunged at him immediately after that. He had only talked to buy time while the pain in his arm faded. That way, Sinister Mark managed to land a heavy punch to Goku's face, intending to rip his head off, creating a powerful shockwave that made the asphalt sink beneath their feet. But to his surprise, the punch did nothing. Goku still stood there, unmoved. You asked for it. With that, Goku drove a clean punch into his jaw. Sinister Mark felt the world flip upside down as his body shot straight into the sky like a bullet. Sinister Mark stopped himself in midair, stabilizing with so much effort that his muscles tensed harder than ever. When his vision stopped blurring, his expression turned into pure rage. He couldn't tolerate what Goku had done to him. Bastard! Bastard! Where are you? Sinister Mark dropped like a meteor to find him, and as soon as he reached him, he unleashed a rain of punches at maximum speed, each one capable of destroying buildings. But Goku only moved as much as necessary, tilting his head or turning his torso effortlessly. Sinister Mark started losing control. "What the hell are you?" "Someone who won't let you hurt anyone else." Sinister Mark instantly pulled back when he heard that, like his instincts were warning him about the danger Goku represented. Then his eyes locked onto a nearby skyscraper, and a desperate idea formed in his head. He flew to the damaged building with all his strength and ripped out a massive section, hurling it at Goku to finish him off once and for all. "Then die with the people you protect!" The giant mass of rubble flew straight at Goku, followed by more chunks torn from rooftops and walls, thrown one after another, trying to crush him with sheer force. But Goku simply raised his hands, firing energy blasts that pulverized every piece of rubble and wall, especially the massive chunk, leaving only smoke behind, as if the air itself had erased them. Sinister Mark froze, breathing hard from the panic rising in him, because his mind finally understood what his pride refused to accept. For him, this was never an even fight. It was an execution that Goku was choosing not to carry out yet. Sinister Mark stepped back, and for the first time, his voice wasn't arrogant, it was afraid. "No, this can't be!" Before he could do anything, he felt a presence behind him that made his skin crawl. It was Goku, who had teleported right behind him. Sinister Mark swallowed, and that simple gesture betrayed him, because Sinister Mark never hesitated. Sinister Mark never felt fear, and yet, he felt it. He felt small and ridiculous in front of him, like an ant trying to push a mountain. "No! No! I refuse to let it end like this!" With one last effort, Sinister Mark tried to attack with a violent, desperate spin, hoping to land any hit at all. But in that instant, a wave of ki struck him before his fist could complete its swing, sending Sinister Mark's body flying into the clouds, tearing through them like paper. And once he reached high enough, an explosion swallowed him completely, disintegrating him entirely. Goku lowered his hand and stared upward for a few seconds, making sure nothing remained of that twisted version. Then Goku turned around and flew back to the woman he had saved, lifting her carefully because of her injuries. "It's over. Let's get you somewhere safe." Goku brought her near a group of civilians being evacuated, where paramedics rushed to treat her. However, Goku looked around again, sensing more energies in the distance, energies belonging to the remaining variants. Elsewhere, far away in another city, Vegeta stood surrounded by a squad of evil Invincibles. They were ready to attack him with everything they had, but Vegeta only smiled confidently, ready to teach them a lesson for what they had done. After the Mark variants attacked, heroes from all over the world rushed to stop them. Sinister Mark was one of the first to fall to Goku, who had no choice but to eliminate him. Meanwhile, in a different city, Vegeta found himself face to face with 4 Mark variants, who didn't hesitate to close in and confront him. The wind blew through the ruined buildings as Vegeta stood motionless in the center of the city, surrounded by some of the most prominent Invincible variants. Mohawk Mark cracked his neck impatiently, while Mask Mark tilted his head slightly. Omni Mark kept his arms crossed, and long-haired Mark smirked arrogantly, all of them certain they had the fight won. "So, you're the intruder Angstrom logged. You don't look like much." Vegeta let out a short scoff at the comment, crossing his arms without showing the slightest bit of interest. "I have no intention of wasting my time with defective copies. So if you're going to talk so much, at least do it while you attack." Vegeta's provocation had an immediate effect, causing the 4 to lunge at him from different angles. But Vegeta vanished from his spot at the very last second. In the blink of an eye, he reappeared behind Mohawk Mark, driving an elbow into his back that sent him crashing into Mask Mark. Both of them smashed into one of the destroyed buildings, while Omni Mark and Long-Haired Mark tried to seize the opportunity to strike from behind. Omni Mark threw a straight punch at Vegeta's face with so much force that the air pressure shattered the surrounding windows. But the Saiyan barely turned his head a few inches, letting the blow sail past him. Omni Mark was left speechless, but before he could react, Vegeta grabbed the Viltrumite's arm and hurled him into Long-Haired Mark, who was coming up from behind, making them crash into each other and hit the ground. On the other hand, Mask Mark burst out of the rubble with his suit torn, furious at Vegeta's humiliation. He shot toward him to deliver a full-power spinning kick. Mohawk Mark followed his variant, aiming to crush Vegeta with a two-handed slam. But the Saiyans simply raised one arm and blocked the Mask Mark's kick without moving a single inch. After that, he leaned to the side, letting Mohawk smash his hands into the ground instead of him. Immediately after, he punched Mask Mark in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him, before grabbing Mohawk Mark by the hair and hurling him into the sky. He would plummet back down a few minutes later. "Aren't you going to get up?" It was obvious Vegeta had them completely outclassed, a fact that only infuriated the Mark variants further. Unwilling to tolerate such humiliation, they all got back on their feet to continue. "Stop getting in the way! I'll kill him! If you weren't so impulsive, we'd have been done with this by now. Shut your mouths and just attack!" With that said, the four threw themselves at Vegeta again, but this time with zero coordination. They crashed into each other and shoved one another as they jockeyed for the best position to strike. However, they accomplished nothing by getting in each other's way. Their strikes were so clumsy that Vegeta didn't even need to move from his spot to dodge them. "Pathetic! You can't even cooperate to crush a single enemy!" In a desperate move, Mask Mark tried to grab him from behind while Omni Mark attacked from the front. But before they could box him in, Vegeta expelled a burst of energy from his body, blasting them in all different directions. The ground cracked under Vegeta's power. Surrounded by an intense aura, he glared at the variants with pure contempt. They all hesitated for a moment, doubting whether they should attack, as his presence had become far too overwhelming. Still, Mohawk Mark followed his instincts and charged at Vegeta with a roar. But this time, Vegeta wouldn't be as nice. He welcomed him with a direct punch to the face that drew a lot of blood, slamming him into the concrete shortly after and completely disintegrating him with an energy blast. Seeing that one of them had fallen, the others tried to use the opening for a surprise attack. Mask Mark attempted to exploit the gap, but Vegeta spun around and unleashed another energy blast that left him falling to the ground, completely charred. Omni Mark attacked with a brutal combination of punches and kicks, but Vegeta blocked two of the strikes and retaliated with a flurry of blows to the torso. So fast that the Viltrumite could barely process them before a final kick finished him off, sending his lifeless body to the ground. Long-haired Mark was the last one standing, trembling with rage and disbelief at the Saiyan's strength. What the hell are you?" Vegeta just looked at the variant as if staring at an insect, slowly walking toward him to end the fight. "I'm the mistake you made by coming here." Saying that, Vegeta extended his hand and gathered energy in his palm. The Viltrumite tried to back away, but a blast caught him right in the chest, dragging him for miles until he vanished in a distant explosion that lit up the horizon. Once he was eliminated, silence fell over the destroyed city. Every single variant had been defeated by Vegeta. High above all the chaos, small circular drones had been recording every second of the fight. They transmitted everything back to Angstrom's hideout. He watched the situation unfold, his face pale and his trembling hands resting on the console. "No, this isn't possible. Those variants could overpower entire armies. How could this intruder wipe them out?" While Angstrom was overwhelmed with panic, Vegeta felt like he was being watched. He glanced up slightly and in a flash, vanished from the ground, reappearing in midair right in front of one of the drones. Before the tiny machine could escape, Vegeta pinched it between two fingers like a mere fly. Angstrom instinctively took a step back, his heart pounding in his chest. In the lab, the image shook violently as Vegeta's face filled the entire screen. "I know you're watching, Angstrom. You keep hiding behind your allies, but it doesn't seem to be working out for you, does it? Mark my words, I will find your hideout, and when I do, I'll force you to send us home." With that, Vegeta crushed his fingers together, pulverizing the drone. The feed cut to static, leaving Angstrom in total silence, terrified of what would happen when they found him. "Damn it! First that guy, and now this one! What kind of monsters did I bring into this world?" After Angstrom calmed down a bit, he checked on the rest of the drones, which displayed dozens of different angles of the chaos spreading across the planet. On one screen, he watched the Guardians of the Globe coordinating with a precision he had never seen before. Adam Eve trapped two variants inside pink constructs that looked like cages, while Rexplode detonated projectiles non-stop. Further out, Robot directed mechanical squads that backed up Monster Girl in direct combat, taking down the variants thanks to their teamwork. No, they were supposed to be superior! Why are they losing? Angstrom put his head in his hands, breathing heavily as his plans crumbled to pieces. He frantically kept cycling through the drone feeds until the image shifted to a devastated battlefield. Goku was floating in the middle of the city, surrounded by 3 Mark variants. The 3 of them tried to attack, but Goku was faster, striking all of them at the exact same time and leaving them completely defeated on the ground.
Damn, I don't like how this is going.
Angstrom muttered with a cracking voice as he switched to another camera. He saw Vegeta again, advancing through the ruins of yet another city, watching as he wiped out more variants in an instant, only to then destroy the drone spying on him. Angstrom slammed his fist onto the console in sheer rage, realizing that none of this was working, all because of Goku and Vegeta. On another feed, he watched more variants trying to regroup, only to be intercepted by the heroes. The plan was falling apart before his eyes. The multiversal army he had worked so hard to assemble was being decimated by 2 warriors that hadn't factored into any of his projections. Angstrom felt true fear for the first time. Fear that this was the end for him, but mostly fear of the overwhelming power of these 2 warriors he'd mistakenly brought over.
They can't win! They can't ruin everything!
Angstrom leaned both hands on the table and lowered his head, thinking seriously about what he needed to do. He arrived at only one conclusion.
If I can't win, at least I'll take something back.
Having said that, Angstrom started gathering several of his drones, preparing for his next move. But this time, he would use all of them to achieve his goal. Once that was done, Angstrom approached the screen and saw one of the surveillance drones broadcasting the original Invincible fighting one of his variants. His suit was a bit torn up, but it was clear Invincible had the upper hand in the fight, which wouldn't last much longer. Angstrom glared at the feed with pure hatred. He couldn't stand seeing Invincible get away with it again.
You ruined everything right from the start!
In his desperation, Angstrom didn't hesitate to use his powers to open a portal. He stepped forward, crossing through the dimensional rift alongside a massive wave of drones. Invincible had just taken down his variant when a portal suddenly appeared in front of him. Angstrom emerged from it, accompanied by hundreds of drones, so many that they looked like a metallic swarm. Mark barely had time to turn around.
You again? When are you going to stop, Angstrom? You took everything from me, Mark. My studies, my variants, all the order I wanted to achieve.
Order?
I wasn't the one who brought psychopaths from other universes to kill innocent people. It doesn't matter anymore. I'll use whatever time I had left to rid myself of you once and for all.
Without another word, Angstrom's drones lunged at Invincible, forcing him to take to the skies to dodge them, as their numbers were simply overwhelming. However, the drones intercepted him and struck him in midair, attacking him relentlessly while Mark tried to cover up to minimize the damage. But right then, Angstrom reached out and opened small portals all around Invincible. More drones poured out, looking like metallic waves crashing toward him.
This is where it ends, Mark!
Seeing himself cornered, Mark used all his strength to push through the drones, smashing them to pieces with his fist to get to Angstrom.
Look around you, Mark. Every death caused today is your fault for resisting. It all would have been over if you hadn't insisted on fighting back.
Mark just kept pushing his way through the drones as best he could, but eventually got bogged down by the sheer volume of machines.
No, it's your fault for playing God and trying to force a fake peace on everyone.
Mark launched himself with all his might until he was right in front of Angstrom, landing a solid punch that sent him flying back several meters. However, Angstrom managed to open another portal to kill his momentum, reappearing off to the side while the remaining drones swarmed Invincible once again. Angstrom gasped from the pain of the impact, but he had no intention of letting that stop him. He was dead set on finishing off Invincible.
You don't understand. I saw it all. I saw thousands of versions of you, destroying entire worlds. You're not special.
Maybe I'm not special,
but I'm the one who's here right now, and you're gonna pay for what you did.
Maybe I'm not special, but I'm the one who's here right now,
and you're gonna pay for what you did.
With that, the remaining drones charged their cores to the max and swarmed Invincible in one final, desperate offensive from Angstrom. Even though Mark was taking cuts and blows from the drones, he kept pushing straight toward Angstrom. In response, Angstrom started sending hundreds upon hundreds more drones to end things before Goku or Vegeta could even find him. Seeing that Invincible was starting to look exhausted and his suit was torn, Angstrom began to laugh with a mix of desperation and relief.
Yes, this is how it was supposed to end.
But then, right in the middle of Angstrom's attack, something dropped from the sky near him. It was the body of the last evil Invincible variant, defeated by none other than Vegeta, who was now floating above Angstrom with his arms crossed, watching the battlefield with complete calm. "I finally found you, Angstrom!" Invincible looked up from the center of the drone swarm, his eyes widening with relief. "You made it!" Angstrom took a step back at the sight of Vegeta, so terrified that he actually halted the drones attacking Mark. "No, it can't be!" Before he could even process it, another presence descended from the sky and hovered right next to Vegeta. It was Goku, looking completely relaxed as he eyed the drones surrounding Mark. "Wow, looks like we got here just in time." No, this is impossible! You guys shouldn't have finished so fast! Your armies just turned out to be a waste of time. That can't be true! There were dozens of variants! Well, they didn't seem like much to me. Maybe you should have done your job right. You're right. I thought there would be more. Hearing their comments made Angstrom lose his composure. They were brushing off all his research and hard work as if it meant nothing. Enough! I'm not leaving empty-handed! Attack! With a furious motion, he threw his hands out, and every drone on the field rushed straight at Goku and Vegeta. However, the Saiyans didn't even flinch. They just watched as the drones closed in on them en masse. When they were mere inches away from touching them, Goku and Vegeta released a pulse of energy so powerful that the drones were instantly pulverized. Only a handful of drones that Angstrom had kept in reserve for himself remained. Angstrom stood there, jaw slack and eyes trembling. His weaponry had essentially vanished, and there was hardly anything he could do against them. Angstrom's mind simply couldn't process it. How could beings like this even exist? Did their strength even have a limit? Vegeta looked at Angstrom with absolute disgust. "Enough games, Angstrom." "You still owe us a ticket home." Angstrom gritted his teeth in rage, raising his trembling arms to use his portals one more time. "Shut up! This isn't over! It can't end like this!" However, just as he was about to use his powers, Invincible launched himself from the ground at top speed, appearing right in front of Angstrom and hitting him so hard he slammed into the earth. "How?" Before he could finish his sentence, Mark pummeled him over and over, knocking him completely unconscious on the ground. With that, the last few drones flanking Angstrom powered down, having no one left to give them orders. Mark took a deep breath as he stared at Angstrom's unconscious body, then looked up at the Saiyans with a relieved smile. "I'm really glad to see you guys." Goku smiled back. "Us too. Good job stopping Angstrom." "I would have liked to return the favor myself, but you beat me to it. Not bad, kid." "Thanks. That means a lot coming from you two." "Now all we have to do is wait for them to send us home." Mark nodded slowly as he activated his suit's communicator. "Cecil, do you read me? Angstrom is down for the count." For a few seconds there was only static, but soon Cecil's voice came through the comms sounding clearly relieved. "Copy that. I'm also pleased to inform you that satellites show all variants have been eliminated. Looks like we won." Mark looked up at Goku and Vegeta with a smile. "Looks like it's finally over. What a relief." Goku enthusiastically gave him a thumbs up. "Then let's go regroup with the others." Once the three of them agreed, they flew off, noting how the cities on the horizon showed various signs of damage from the clash with the Invincible variants, though it was minimal compared to the original timeline. Even so, there were still plenty of rescue helicopters and emergency teams moving around, along with a few heroes continuing their patrols just in case anyone was still trapped. Invincible led the way, carrying Angstrom over his shoulder, while Goku and Vegeta followed calmly a few yards behind. "I can hardly believe it's over. I thought things were really going to spiral out of control. I don't want to imagine how long this war would have lasted if you two hadn't been here. Honestly, you helped us a lot." Goku stretched his arms a bit as he flew alongside Invincible. "Yeah, if we hadn't been around, there would have been way too much damage." "That Angstrom guy was out of his mind. I'm not surprised his plan fell apart so fast." "Well, it was also fun fighting so many opponents, even if I was expecting a bit more from them." Mark let out a short laugh at the comment as they continued closing in on the Pentagon base, which was already visible in the distance. When they finally touched down in the designated area, several soldiers and GDA agents quickly approached them. The facility's metal doors opened, revealing some of the Guardians of the Globe already waiting inside. Cecil was in the middle of the hangar barking orders to the soldiers as Goku and Vegeta walked up to him. He was taken aback when Mark dropped Angstrom's unconscious body onto the floor in front of him. "Here you go, he's all yours." Cecil studied the body for a moment, then sighed with obvious relief before shifting his gaze to Goku and Vegeta. "I have to admit, for a second there I thought this war was going to be total chaos, but luckily we made it through. Your help was beyond crucial. If this war dragged on for even a few more hours, we would have suffered millions of additional casualties. We just did what we could. We couldn't let that guy get away with it after causing us so much trouble." Cecil made a gesture, and several agents stepped up to haul Angstrom away, securing him with specialized tech restraints. "I'll personally make sure Angstrom remains in custody until he cooperates. Eventually, we'll force him to open a portal to send you back to your world." "Awesome! We're one step closer to going home. At least we don't have to worry about that anymore." "You've done more than enough for today. If you'd like, you can rest up here. The Pentagon has guest quarters and food if you're hungry." "Did you say food?" "That's right. As much as you want. Consider it as a gift from us." "Now that sounds perfect. If that's the case, we'd be happy to stay." A while after all the commotion settled, everyone gathered in the complex's massive mess hall, where long tables were loaded with plates, trays, and bowls holding every kind of food imaginable. The Guardians of the Globe sat alongside Invincible, some still sporting bandages and battle scars. Adam Eve was chatting with Monster Girl, while Rexplode leaned back in his chair, firing off sarcastic comments at Robot. However, the real spectacle was in the center of the table, where Goku and Vegeta were seated in front of actual mountains of food. Goku was devouring entire plates of meat, rice, soup, and bread at a staggering speed, barely chewing before moving on to the next dish. Vegeta wasn't far behind, rapidly scarfing down every dish placed in front of him, making entire trays disappear in minutes. The Guardians stared in sheer amazement, wondering just how much food it took to fill them up. Rexplode just sat there with his mouth hanging open, the first to finally say something. "Hold on, how many plates is that now?" "I think 34. "And they're still not full? Unbelievable." "Is that even physically possible?" "Apparently so." Mark leaned against the table, watching the scene with an amused grin. "I'll admit, they're full of surprises. Maybe Cecil should have thought twice before offering them all the food they could eat." Goku hoisted up another empty plate. "Hey, is there any more meat?" A crew of cooks hurried out with another massive platter, looking a bit concerned at the sheer number of empty plates. "Here you go." "Thanks." Vegeta was polishing off a mountain of rice, talking without ever stopping his meal. "I must admit, the food on this planet is just as good as on ours." "Do you guys always eat like this?" "Of course! We need to get our energy back after a fight." "Exactly! A warrior needs fuel." "So I see. Well, if eating like that is the price for saving the planet, then I guess it's worth it." "Since we don't have much to do until we go back home, we could train again after this. What do you say, Invincible?" Mark raised an eyebrow in interest, as he was keen to learn more about their combat style. "I think I'll take you up on that offer." Now that the war against the variants was over, everyone could finally relax for a moment. They had won, all thanks to the help of Goku and Vegeta, the strongest warriors they'd ever met. After that long day, the situation on Earth slowly began to stabilize. Angstrom was kept locked down in GDA custody, while Cecil and his team figured out how to force him to open a stable portal to Goku and Vegeta's universe. So the next day, Goku and Vegeta decided to continue training with the Guardians of the Globe in the training room, just to stay warmed up until they could go home. The sparring lasted for a couple of hours, though the one who got the most out of it was Invincible. Facing off constantly against warriors like the Saiyans drastically improved his reflexes and combat form. By the time the session ended, Invincible was completely exhausted, but his progress was undeniable. His senses were noticeably sharper, and he could now react with much greater precision, even to attacks he couldn't even track before. Later that same day, while waiting for news from Cecil about the portal home, Goku and Vegeta decided to help rebuild some of the city's damaged areas. Invincible had requested their help, and though it wasn't the kind of thing they normally did, they agreed, figuring they had nothing better to do while Angstrom was locked up anyway. So the three of them went out into the city to help clear out the giant debris, shifting entire chunks of buildings out of the streets. To the civilians and rescue teams, it was a surreal sight. two warriors lifted skyscrapers like they were toy blocks, without breaking a single sweat. Mark hovered nearby, watching the scene with a smile. It seemed the city was finally starting to look normal again, and people could go back to their lives. But right at that moment, something unexpected happened, making Goku and Vegeta look up. Both of them had just sensed a massively powerful presence, far greater than any Earth hero or evil variant. Noticing that Goku and Vegeta were staring up at the sky, Mark decided to do the same to see what had caught their attention. And then he saw it. A figure plummeted through the clouds like a living meteorite, finally coming to a halt in midair just a few feet above them. What? It was a massive man wearing a Viltrumite uniform and a cybernetic arm. He'd been sent to check on Mark's progress on Earth. It was none other than Conquest, the second most powerful Viltrumite in existence.
Ready for my arrival, worm?